Finally, it's time for the next episode, and today we will focus on the engine, mostly the engine, and I will also show you how to bring new life into your old trim, the door trim especially, the ones sitting on the mid placing on the that prevents dents and stuff when the neighbor car open up its door. So we will look into that. And first of all, I want to thank all of you who decided to watch this channel and to subscribe and like my videos. It's subscribe to the channel and like my videos, of course. It's appreciated and it helps me motivate myself to keep doing this. So I hope I won't disappoint you with today's episode, and we'll start with the engine and see where we end up. Okay, let's go. Next up, to assemble the pistons into the crank. So new bearings will go in, we will torque everything, make sure it's lubricated and ready to be started up later on in the near future when everything else is on place. So I'll start with, show you how it's done. Starting with the first cylinder, I'm gonna make sure I have the crank in the position like this, so I have a long distance down to the bearing surface and it's centered in the cylinder, making it easier for the this one. When I put it in from top down, this fork will have an easier way to align over the bearing surface. So that's my plan. Then we rotate the engine over to this position, and on the top of each piston there is an arrow. There is an arrow in the casting showing direction front. So this case the arrow is pointing this direction, and this one should be in the 90-degree angle to the crank. So this should be the right way to put the first piston inside. Just to make sure that it's not metal on metal as far as it's possible, I just put some light oil inside to make sure it's at least something inside. And before putting it in, I also take the new bearing, you know this by now, and what direction to put it. And I insert it inside here. Fits well. And then I put with the arrow pointing forward, like that. Got it. Now the piston ring compressor. I use this to put outside the piston rings, like this, to make sure that the piston rings are squeezed together and will fit inside the bore. So it's a little bit like that. Yeah. Now they should be compressed. So just gently, I'll knock on the piston, making sure it's coming in. Okay, better look that we have everything okay. Make another try. Okay, let's see if this works. It was a little bit tricky, this one. Yeah, finally I managed to get one in. Forgot to make it on video, but I will make another one. Of course, I managed to crack one of the piston ring. so I need to replace that one. So that set us back a little bit, but no problem. That's what we have to expect sometimes. So now the piston rod is coming through to the bottom part. So we're gonna insert the bearing, and we're gonna put the other end of the piston rod in place. And the same lubricant like last time. We're gonna go for the assembly lube from Redline. Works well. So I'm gonna put this on the crank, this surface. Always easier to do without the crank on in place. So in hindsight, maybe it's better to put the crank in afterwards, but we agreed to put the where we have this groove, we put the groove until the groove, towards the groove. So we put this one on the same side as we do on the other one, like this. And then the nuts, getting nuts. Just gonna put them together so they meet, and then we're gonna torque them later on. And if I don't remember wrong, we torque with 17 Newton meters. I'll correct in the video if it's something else. Yeah. So now it's in place. So looking the other side, you will see the piston is in, and if we turn the crank, the piston comes up. Amazing, right? Seems like working. So I'll go ahead and do the other 5. Well, the other 4 this time. I need a new piston ring for the first one. There was a slight damage because the compressor didn't do its job tightly. So one of the piston rings slipped out and had a mark on it, and I don't want to risk anything. So we're gonna get new ones for that one, for sure. It's better to take it slow than to do it in a hurry, because there we go again. Yep, there we go. It's just about carefully observing that the rings really slide into the cylinder, because the compressor might twist a little bit, and if it does, the piston ring will spring out and come between, and then you shove it off towards the edge. That what happened to the first one. I was a bit naive, thinking that everything would go fine. Of course they don't. 3 out of 6 is in. Number 6 is in. Ooh la la. We keep this one for later, because I had the incident I told you about, and it's easy to happen when the spring compressor is not doing its job fully. You will see something like this happen. I will make a up close photo, but the piston ring snaps out, gets squeezed between the cylinder and the between the cylinder top end, and snaps off. So it's nothing to do but to replace. Unfortunately, because they were in a very good condition, there was no wear I could measure. So there's no need to replace all of them unless there is any damage or any excessive wear. So it seems like the engine was well taken care of, running with good oil, stuff like that. So that's good news. Maybe it's also showing on other things inside. Okay, you remember this one? The sprocket that the woodruff key had made a ugly mark on the front, damaging the sprocket, and we were unable to use it. Guess what? A new one came in. So we can throw away the old and we can put the new one in place here. The only thing is it's quite tight. It doesn't really come on. You cannot push it in place. So what we need to do is that we need to heat this up, put it in the oven inside the kitchen. Do it when the wife is at work or something so she doesn't see you. But you do this, it expands a little bit, and with a safety glove or some glove that you don't burn yourself, bring it out and slide it on. By using the woodruff key on the back. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll turn the engine around. I can actually do that right away. You see this one? It should go into this track. So it's just to heat it up and then slide it on all the way in until it meets the surface here. And then it will cool off and it will shrink onto the axle and it will sit tight. And no damage or any risk that this will come off. So I'll do this, I'll heat it up, I'll put it in place, and I'll let you show you how it's done. Okay, so now it's out of the oven. I put some light oil and I have the sprocket in my hand with the kitchen gloves. The missus is not at home, that's why. And I can now put it in place. Let's see here, like that, all the way in, easy peasy. It's all the way in without any fuss. Now it's cooling off. And in a few seconds it will be, yeah, already it's stuck. It's impossible to move. So now it's in the right position all the way in, and we can start putting the chain and everything onto it. So I think what we're gonna do next, or maybe next, well, soon anyway, put the oil pump in place, put the chain and the tensioner for the oil pump chain in place. Right after we tension all the bearings, piston rod bearings. And there's no special tool or anything for doing this. It's the kitchen oven. I use like 200 degrees. I put it there for 10 minutes, which makes the sprocket expand maybe 1/10 of a millimeter or something, and it just slides right on. So kitchen oven doesn't take any more than 10 minutes, and then you're done. Easy. Number 1. The first piston we tried to insert had an accident. The compressor slipped and the one of the piston rings got in between, so it was broken. It's now been a week since we did the first 5, and we will do yet again number 1 because we have new piston rings delivered, high quality stuff. So we will put those in place and make sure we don't do the same mistake twice. When you remove the old piston rings, you can just take them out and expand them. There is like this where they're not closed at one point. You see they're open, not a full circle. So you just take the thumbs or something and you expand them a little bit and they will be able to slide over like this. It's quite easy. Should be able to do that. Fairly simple. Then make sure that there is no dirt inside. I already cleaned this once before the first attempt, so shouldn't be any bigger problems. Remove the old ones so you don't mix them up, and then you open the box with the new rings. You open them up and there's 3 of them, should be 3 of them, 1 for each screw. And when you open this kit up, they are packaged like 1, 2, 3, and there is also an illustration showing which one is what. It's like the first, second, and third. So the position is also illustrated. So in this case, we take the first one. Yeah. It's in the bottom. So we're gonna put this in the bottom, and it's equally sided. See? Yep. I'll take this from below. It's easier to take from below when it comes to this one, because then you don't have to cross the other 3 grooves, the other 2 ones. So I'll open up a little bit, stretch it out, make sure the spring inside is following out like this. Yeah. Slide it gently up. Yep, it snapped right in. Now it's in place. First one, or the third one, however you like to see it. Second one is the middle one. And this one is the only one that is like not, I don't know if it shows here. I'll take a picture of this and show you. But it's actually, it has a flange, and it actually shows on the illustration in what direction this flange should be. It should be pointing like it's scraping downwards. So let's put it in like that. Same procedure, put it over, expand a little bit, and it will slide right over. The first groove, or the top groove, is thinner. The top groove is thinner than the second one or the middle one, which means it shouldn't even snap into this one when you're passing through. It should be able to go through down to the middle position. And once you reach the middle position though, that's where it slides in. So it's in position. Perfect. Only one to go, and that is number 3. And this one is like equally sided no matter how you put it, so it's nothing to really take in consideration in this particular ring. Same way, expand, slide it down, and in she goes. 3 new rings in place. So now it's just a matter of not messing up when we put it back in the engine. Let's give it a shot. Same like last time, some light oil on the surfaces to make sure that it's not bare metal, towards bare metal. And let's put it like that to start with. Take the compressor, this crappy old compressor, unfortunately this is the one I have. So we'll try to make it work with this one, even though I would prefer to have a better tool for this, since we already made a mistake once. I'll put it over those and then squeeze it together. And then we try again, the same way like last time, only better. Maybe sounds like I'm knocking hard, but I'm not. It creates some resonance in this. But I think at this point, yeah, it's success. Finally, something goes our way. Don't you think? We deserve this. After all the shit with everything, it's there. Excellent. Time to torque the piston rods with the new bearings. And according to the manual, it's 60 Newton. So I'm starting here, 60 Newton meters. all done. This chrome trim, it's also available in the shadow line, the black version. It's going here on this rainwater. Yeah, it's leading away the rainwater from the roof. And to put it back in place after like this, like a respray of the car, it's not that hard. It's not, you need to be careful because this is aluminum. It's very soft. You might dent it, you may, yeah, tweak it. And even though you get it back into shape, you will always see that dent because you cannot get it straight as it was from the factory. So in order to put it on the car, you need to put it from top down. So this flange is coming into this track of the chrome of the trim. So in order to know where to put it in the longitudinal position, you need to first aim for the position of the A-pillar. So you know where it is, and then you know pretty much that this is the position, because now it's, this is correct. So by doing so, you might then just release it, turn it up like this, and it will crawl down this flange. Let's see if it turned a little bit on me. Well, seems right. So just make sure it's coming down all the way back. Yeah, there it is. And when it's inside all the way, you turn it in along the A-pillar and you push it in and it should lock. Yeah. The problem now is that all the way back it's still twisted. It doesn't really come into this flange, so you need to help it along the way, all the way back. And to make it come in really, really nice, you need to twist it, really help it to come in. You can use something soft and something gentle to push on the trim, and it will come. I normally take also like a wooden log or something. I hold it on top, and with a rubber hammer, something soft, knock it all the way back, and it will crawl in perfect. And by doing so, nothing will damage the trim or anything. So it will look perfect, and that's what we want, don't we? So I'll show you a little bit how to knock it down with this wooden tool. Yeah. All right, so we're now gonna do this knocking down the last piece. I have some wooden piece of a little piece of wood here. I'm gonna knock it. I'm gonna see how it crawls into place. Yeah, like this. Sits perfect. Next up, the trim on the door. This one that should protect the door if a neighbor car on the parking lot is a little bit uncareful and open up the doors a little bit too fast. You know, this trim is on the doors. This trim is on the doors, and they are many times they are in very poor condition. Poor condition, I mean, they've been like beaten up over the years. So you can see this one, for example, you have some scratches and stuff like that, and they seem a little tired, all of them. It's like they've been part of the war over the years. But there is a way to make them look like new, and I'll show you what it is. It's very simple, something you can do. Let's say 5 to 10 minutes per trim, per each, and you will have them back to new condition. I'll show. Okay, the first thing you do is to use protective gloves, of course. And I use these vinyl ones, the industrial type, which is a little bit tougher than the white one that can be used for medical purposes. And use thinner. It's, in my opinion, what works best. Or it could go with acetone as well, but I think thinner is the best way. And the thing is, if you use this one, take a little bit rich amount on the rag. Yeah, use a rag instead of a paper. I think that's my recommendation at least. And you can see, we start with the one closest to myself. I start rubbing this forward and back carefully with a little bit of pressure. Really doing, and what I'm feeling right now is that the thinner makes the surface of this trim actually melt. It melts just barely, and by doing so you can figure out what's happening. You move the rubber surface forward and back over the grooves and everything, and you fill the grooves with the rubber from behind, so you actually even out the surface. So I'll do one and we will compare the outcome with the one next to it, and you can see for yourself. Give me your opinion. It's really quick. I think it's 5 minutes, maximum 5 minutes for one of these. What's the English word for this part? Write in the comments, okay? So I can learn something I didn't know. There's a lot of things I don't know, so you can write whatever you want. Might be educational. And then I also take the chrome trim parts on top and the rubber above it that seals towards the door to make sure it gets the black nice color back, and the chrome gets free from all grease and traffic pollutions from all over the years. Yeah. So this is actually a nice thing to do. It's better to do it here as well on the beside the car than doing it on the car. If you have like a sensitive paintwork or something, then you don't want to do it directly maybe on the paint job, because you will have the rag gets a little bit rubbery from the trim, which makes it unnecessary to get all of that on the car. And the last stroke I do all the way, so I don't get any halfway movements on the surface of this one. Yeah, I think it looks quite good. If we start by looking on the old ones, the ones I still didn't do, they look a little bit like this. Some scratches and dents. And I have this one, also one of the front. Doesn't look that nice in my opinion. And then I look on the one I did right now, and it's black again. It's a little bit matte in the surface, but that will of course be possible to polish if you want, but you have no dents anymore. Can you see that? There was a lot of ugly dents in this one, actually quite deep. I was a little bit uncertain if I would actually get those away, get rid of those, but I did. Now it's even all the way, so I'll just do the rest of them. And then unfortunately we don't have the mounting clips, the plastic parts for the door. Some of them were damaged when we put it back to when we removed them for the respray. So we need to get a few of those before we can put the trim back on the car. But I will prepare them, make sure they're ready to be on the car, so we don't have to wait for them. So I'm on it. Now would you just look at those amazing parts, yeah? 40 years old parts back to life. And I must say I'm quite happy with the outcome, and based on surface is like totally dent free. It's quite amazing how this rubber actually fills out its own damages when you rub it forward and back, and it's actually thinner I'm using this time, the same you use for 2K paint to mix out. You can use acetone like I said before, but my opinion is that acetone is a little bit too aggressive. It melts the rubber in a faster procedure than the thinner does. It's more control when you do thinner. So, and you can use this for the rubber on the bumpers and everything. So I recommend you to try it. Try on a surface that is not so viscous until you get comfortable enough to do it on the rest of the car. So as soon as we have those assembly clip, we're going to put those back on the car. Great. All right, everyone. Time flies. 30 minutes already. And what do you know? In a few days, we will have a 7th episode where we start working deeper on the engine, and we will have some machining done to the cylinder head. You can see behind me. I will explain what kind of cylinder heads they are and why we choose to do as I did. And more parts for the engine. For the lower part of the engine block and everything, we will start dressing it up with some beautiful painted things. And most of all, I will show you where the paint is done, where the magic is done when it comes to spray painting. So keep an eye out for the next episode in a few days. I guess I said 5 days last time, it took 7. So let's say 3 days this time, and I make it 5, okay? And don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and tell your friends, because this brings motivation and further and bigger steps ahead. Okay, see you next time.